Your hottest take, Felipe. We're gonna get right into your hottest take, and I like this one. Because you gave me a little list.
All right,
You gave me your top 10.
Let's have fun.
Yup, your top 10 players ever, and I'm gonna break it down a little bit. This is the hottest take I have, so I'm gonna give this one a C too. All right, I'll give this one a C. C is not bad.
Can't make everyone happy.
But there's some things that I wanna hit at. Mm-hmm. So your top 10, you got. The people already know, and the thing I'm gonna say the reason being the hottest take is not the list itself. It's not the list itself. You have a lot of players who I would have in mind, not all of them, but you do. I would say the point that makes this hot is having a Bill Russell number 5 all time over a guy like LeBron James, and not even just LeBron, a guy over of a Shaquille O'Neal, of a Larry Bird, and this is why. And this also goes along the lines with Wilt Chamberlain, but I'll get into Wilt in a second. Bill Russell, if you want to strictly go off, championships, bump him up higher, all right? Bump him up to 1. You got 11. If you want to strictly go off of it, here's the thing. It's hard to go off era and skill set because I like to base my players not off era. I go off skill set. I say, who are the better basketball players? That's when I say better basketball player, I'm thinking skill set. So there's it's just not Bill Russell's fault. He was played in the 60s. Like, it's just not his fault. Right. Everything's getting better in life. Like, our technology has gotten better. Cars are getting better. But when it comes to basketball players, for some reason, they don't get better, apparently, to people's eyes. But I just don't. Bill Russell playing in the 60s, the level of talent he played, the skill level, the skill sets, how much bigger he was than everybody. It's just. We didn't watch the guy play, but looking up at his stats, sure, he's a great rebounder defender. He was super inefficient, apparently. He won a lot of championships with 9 teams in the league. There was that's all of California right there.
Answer this question for me, right? Because you're talking about players consistently get better. The era thing, it doesn't have value, but the 60s, obviously, you just completely devalued it. Tell me, where's Wilt? Like, how do you view Wilt Chamberlain?
I'm glad you brought that up. When I view Wilt, I think this is the thing with Wilt. You either put him number 1, or you don't put him on your list. Because you don't want to know why? Wilt Chamberlain, you either put him number 1 or you don't put him on your list. Because having him at 9 is a weird. You're guessing. Because we didn't watch him play, but putting him at 9, people who put Wilt in their thing, it's just guessing.
What do you mean?
If you average 50 and 25 for a couple of years,
in a season, man,
you should be number 1. You should pretty much be number 1.
Let me tell you why he's not. You want me to tell you why he's not?
Let me.
And this is gonna answer. And this is exactly why you just brought me into it. Because Bill Russell stopped them from getting all these rings. They played in the same time span. They played in the same era. But guess what? Bill Russell got 11. Wilt Chamberlain with his 50 and 25. What happened when he met Bill Russell? Obviously not that. Bill Russell kept him from winning. I saw this great quote by Jalen Rose the other day. He said, when Michael Jordan played, talking about Michael Jordan's dominance. Excuse me. I'll start with LeBron. When LeBron's playing right now, sometimes it's not his turn to win. It's other teams' turn to win. We've seen that with the Warriors. We've seen that with the Spurs. We've seen that with the Mavericks winning in there. When Michael Jordan was at his peak, he didn't give nobody no turns. It wasn't that, it's not Michael Jordan's turn to win. He didn't get nobody no turns. He was winning every single year. So here's my point with Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain was great, averaging 50 and 25 in the season, right? But only 2 championships to show for that. That's fantastic. And the same problem I have with LeBron with only 3 rings and 5 losses in those. It's the same thing. So there you go. There's Bill Russell climbing his way up there because he does have 11 rings. He's shown to be dominant. Obviously, scoring wasn't his prowess, but he was a great rebounder. Like you said, a lot of people think he's the greatest defender of all time, and he had 11 rings to show for it. I don't care what era it was in. He stopped the most dominant force that most people agree on of all time from winning all those championships. If it was so easy back then, why didn't Wilt win more than 2? Because of Bill Russell.
To go back to when you said Jordan didn't let anybody's turn to win a championship, well, he let Boston. It was Detroit's turn twice. When they beat him
before his peak,
when he didn't have
before he ascended. When he took over in 91, who else took over after that?
You mean when he got Scotty on his team and Dennis Rodman became on his team?
When they evolved, yes.
But that's different. for LeBron, it's unfair. It's an era of movement. Teams are getting better, so it's kind of a little harder. And part of that's him. He left and joined a team as well. But it's just that part of his teams are collectively, I think, getting deeper and stronger. But the Bill and Wilt thing is, I get what you're saying. It's valid. Wilt or Bill's got 11. Yeah, Wilt only does have 2 championships. But the thing is, they were playing with like 10 teams in the league, and I know the era. If you compare eras, it's tough. Like I get it. Like I just go off straight skill set. Those guys were not such freak of nature, or especially Wilt was such a freak of nature. You didn't just see Wilt in that. Wilt, there wasn't 18 Wilts in that league, was there? No, there wasn't. He was like the only. He was an outlier. When you go in the NBA now, you see, maybe not to the same extent as LeBron's, peak athleticism, but you see guys like that, right? You see guys 6'9", right, maybe 240 who could jump out the gym and do all this. So Will was an outlier. So he was playing against just this. When I say the skill set, and even I don't think Bill Russell was this like freak athlete or anything, but they were just so much more better than the person next to them. And you could argue, well, that's, beneficial. They were just that much better than them. But I just think it was a product of what they were playing against. And if Will averages 50 and 25, even with only 2 championships, he should be higher. But the reason you got put him at 9 or 8 or 7, I think it's a guess, because I think you either put him in that top 5 even with 2 championships because of his stats, or don't put him at all because of what they played against. It's just I don't value. I'm sorry for the older people. I don't value 60s basketball.
So this is why I have him at 9 and not at 1. Like I already said, while Bill Russell's ahead of him, I understand Will was the most dominant force, but Russell ahead of him because of the obviously he was more dominant. In my opinion, I value not only statistical dominance but championship playoff dominance, all that. So Bill Russell goes over him. LeBron James, I've over him. Yeah, I've over him because of all those things you considered. I have these players over him because of everything you said. Yes, they're playing in a tougher league. Yes, there are more teams. Players are more athletic. But at some point, and that's the same reason. If you're not considering Wilt the most dominant of all time, who are you considering the most dominant of all time? Shaq, probably, right? Now Shaq ahead of him because of the era he played in, yeah. And because he won 4 championships himself. So I do have him ahead of Wilt because of those things. So me having Wilt at 9 is calculated because those players that are ahead of him deserve to be ahead of him. But I still think that his dominance in his era put him where he's at. I mean,
So
go ahead.
You're basing it strictly off their era. What you did in your era.
Not necessarily. Is that what they did in their era that, in my opinion, can transcend to today. Like I said, Wilt Chamberlain was the most. Wilt Chamberlain was the most dominant force anybody's ever seen in the NBA. Bill Russell kept them from winning. He had 11. Then when we say, Bill Russell won 11 because he played in the 60s, why did Wilt Chamberlain, the most dominant force of all time, win 11? He didn't. Bill Russell won 11, right? Michael Jordan won 6 in the 90s. Is Jordan better than Bill Russell? Yeah, I think most people would agree. So then that's where everything else starts coming into play.
Here's the thing with Bill Russell, and I'm glad I want to get back into the why he's above LeBron and Shaq and all this. A guy that is strictly defense dominated. He's a defense and rebound machine. He has 11 championships. Cool. I mean, he was playing in the third of what there is now. Like 10 teams were in the league.
Okay, so a third. Let's divide 11 by 3, right? So you're around 4. Right. That's still more than LeBron. So what's up?
It's more than LeBron. What LeBron plays with now is 10 times harder than what Bill Russell played against. 10 times harder. LeBron, the era we're living in now, I argue is better than any era we've ever seen. I'm sorry, a guy in the 60s, I don't care if you can't even shoot a left-hand layup. You can't dribble on. That might be unfair. That might be harsh. That might be. And that's what he played against. So he was up against his competition. He was like that same. Like, you know what I mean? If you get what I'm saying. Like, he was, not as, wasn't just coming back in time and dropped in the 60s and started playing. But, I value that, what he played against. I value all that. And if I'm starting, not even just starting a team, just a better basketball player, somebody who averaged 19, 15 rebounds, a lot of blocks. Yeah, they have a lot of championships. But the championship thing, it's hard because it's the 60s. We don't know technically why he won the championships. I guarantee it wasn't just him beating Wilt, because Bill Russell was only averaging like 19 a game.
Yeah, he averaged like 14, 15 some seasons. But that's the point. That wasn't the strength of his game.
So are we saying that then strictly his defense and rebounding, which rebounding is not that, I mean, it's useful, but it's not like anything game changing. Are we saying his defense and rebound won him 11 championships? Because if that's the case, then I would put him number one. I would put him the greatest player. Because if it's only your defense is winning you a championship, I think you might be the damn greatest athlete I've ever seen in my life. Like, if you're just defense and rebounding. But I just, all jokes aside on that, when I'm basing a player like LeBron and a player like Shaq, what they played against, sure, they got better as well. It's unfair to Bill Russell because he didn't get that training and stuff. But, I mean, it's a cruel world. I mean, he grew up in the 60s or played in the 60s. I value the players that these guys in this generation played against more and what they did. Yeah, nobody has 11. So it's kind of like you can't argue against 11 championships. But there's so many statistics in a harder era that these guys have, or awards in a harder era that these guys had, that is just like, man, that's ridiculous. Would have Bill done that? Because I guarantee we all agree if we put those guys back in that era, they're probably winning a lot of championships.
Yeah, they're probably.
You put Shaq.
Yeah, they're probably going to win more. And like I said, you put Shaq in that era, it's the same thing. But divide the Bill's championships, like we said, he still has more than most of these guys.
But you can't do it. You can't do it that way though.
But that's what you're doing. But that's what you're doing by comparing eras, saying like these guys couldn't play today. Look, if Shaq was in that era, then.
So, question for you: if we believe Shaq and LeBron and most players could go back in that era and win a lot of championships, right? Do you think Bill Russell would be in today's game with the stats we see, because we didn't have our eyes to watch Bill Russell? I don't know if there's barely any footage. If we put Bill Russell in today's game, do you think he's that dominant, averaging 14, 15 rebounds, all those blocks?
Yes.
No, you don't. I don't.
14, 15 rebounds, no. But would he average 9, 10? Would he be a Kevin Garnett skill wise of today? Yes. And the fact that he won 11 championships says enough. What I'm not like statistical dominance is one thing, but I want to know if you can win championships if you're that dominant. Like LeBron has won 3 right during his time, and he's been playing in this era that is very tough. Well, Kobe won 5.
A lot tougher than 6.
Right. Well, Kobe won 5 in a similar era. Michael Jordan, as far as like toughness of eras, that was probably even harder, won 6. So like we got to weigh everything when we talk about statistical categories and being able to be dominant. I'm saying that even given the time that Bill Russell was playing, 11 is way too much to discount. Because obviously, yeah, he was a great defender. He was a great rebounder. And maybe those weren't the sole reason that they were winning 11 championships, but obviously the best player on the team and winning those 11 championships when there is another force in Wilt Chamberlain with the teams he was on, then.
No, I get that. It's hard to divide like the statistics and the era, and that's where I want to like hit on for everybody listening or watching. I'm not basing it off the era they played in. He has 11 rings. Or I'm just basing it off who I think the better basketball player is.
Right.
So I guess era does fit into that because obviously basketball's gotten better than the 60s. Like I said, I'm basing it off the skill set. If I'm thinking to myself, or if I'm in a fantasy world and some evil aliens, the Monstars come down here, and I'm saying Bill Russell or LeBron, who do you want to take these guys? Bill Russell or Shaq? Bill Russell's way further on my list just because of like I don't believe where he played at and the time he played at, and looking at his statistical, stats, that, hey, this dude was something, all special. And it might be, hey, you're looking too much in stats, Jared. I mean, we don't have the footage on it. So, I mean, nobody.
My favorite stat is what you got on your fingers,
the ring,
man.
The ring.
My favorite stat.
I mean, hey, after the show, I'm going to look at how many games a year they played. I'm going to look at all this stuff and just see the pathway to a championship, because that 11 rings might not hold that much weight. I'm just saying it might not hold that much weight. And if he, I think,
and they might not. But guess what? 11 rings not holding that much weight is more than 3 rings holding a lot of weight. Like as far as this is concerned, like I said, divided by 3, he still has more than 3.
So why isn't he above Kobe's 5? Kobe only has 2 more than LeBron. Why isn't Bill Russell above Kobe?
Because Kobe was more dominant. Kobe didn't lose 5 finals. LeBron's
more dominant than Bill Russell. LeBron's more dominant than Kobe. LeBron's more dominant. One of the most.
I disagree. Yes,
three.
yes. Athletically, he's more dominant. When I speak of dominance, I'm talking about winning in a league, right? Like being the best player, the best team, leading the team to be the best in the league. So as far as dominance and that aspect is considered, yes, Bill Russell was more dominant than LeBron. No, he wasn't more athletic than LeBron.
No, I'm not even talking athletic. I think LeBron has the highest IQ I've ever seen.
Dude,
people argue him or Magic.
LeBron's the most dominant ever. How is he losing to how many finals in a row did he lose? He lost a lot. Anyways, he's 3-5. He lost 5 NBA finals. And within those finals, not only did he lose, but he lost in record margins. Like those against the Spurs, those were like all-time losses, like terrible losses. And there's no excuse. There's no excuse with the Warriors had this super team. This was the Spurs. The Spurs were a really good team, and arguably those teams were top 15, top 20 teams ever. But it's no reason to be losing by all-time margins in finals. That's not dominance. That's not dominance.
In 2007, when LeBron was 22 years old, fourth year in the league, nobody thought he was going to win. We all knew they were going to lose.
Yeah, I'm not talking about
Michael Jordan. I'm talking
about later when he was on the Heat, when he had Dwayne Wade, when he had Chris Bosh, when he had Ray Allen.
When he had those guys, he won 2. The Dallas blunder, I can't argue Dallas because that was a bad one. 2014, D Wade was completely washed. And I'm not trying to be biased towards LeBron at all. If you watch, he was missing every other game.
Okay, but if you're as dominant as you are, that's not an excuse to be losing by record margins in the NBA Finals.
LeBron put on. LeBron, if you saw what he did, LeBron was doing his thing. You got to have teammates. Those Spurs teams collectively are one of the better just collective units in sports. Just how the operations
top 15,
ran.
The top 20 team ever. But if you're the most dominant, but if you're as dominant as you say you are, and you're more dominant than Bill Russell, then you're not gonna you're not gonna get swept. 2, you're not gonna be losing by record margin.
So you think going back to the Kobe, and also in 2015, LeBron would have won if his 2 best players weren't hurt. That they took him 6 games against the Warriors.
LeBron would have lost last year. Or Kawhi would have lost.
He won the next year.
Kawhi would have lost last year if KD was healthy. We could do hypotheticals all day.
Absolutely. I believe that. Absolutely would have lost. 2017-18, Kevin Durant joins the Warriors, best team ever. Or 2018, LeBron had no help. Just absolutely. He had George Hill and J.R. Smith. But Kobe, Kobe, you said lost 2, and LeBron lost 5 or 6. Do you think it's better or something to lose before the finals than in the finals? Because this never makes sense to me. Why do we tear down somebody for losing in the finals, but somebody who's lost in the first round, second round, third round, we just give them a pass like, hey, you're a great player, man. You lost in the first, second round. Why are we not? Would you rather get an F on a test or would you rather get a B? I'm pretty sure everybody rather get a B. If you lose in the first round,
it depends what
it's an F.
It depends what the path is there. If I'm getting a B in rocket science, that's better than getting an A in some whack ass easy class. So that's what it is with LeBron, and he playing in a super weak Eastern Conference his whole life.
They weren't super weak his whole life. He went up against Chauncey and the Pistons,
when he went to Miami.
Celtics,
excuse me. When he went to Miami, and they finally got past the Celtics. After that, it was a wrap. Like there was no competition for them
Bulls,
in the East. Man, the Bulls were barely a competition.
You could argue
they played them pretty well, but nobody had any question. Zero questions about who was going to be representing the East that year. And not necessarily because of LeBron. Yes, he was great, and he's an all-time great player. That's why I have him at 6. But also because the competition was inferior.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't agree that a guy like Bill Russell is above LeBron. And if you think Bill's above him, you should probably put Wilt behind him. Wilt's only got 1 less ring than LeBron, so you should probably bump up Wilt in front of LeBron.
Yeah, and that's where the errors. So like 2 versus 3, and those different errors. Then obviously LeBron's 3 is a lot more, and he has more anyways. But that's what I'm saying. 11 is just too great to overlook.
No, I get that, but I'm basing mine off just strictly skill set. Strictly, I value who I think just going down as a better basketball player. Yeah, I think LeBron is light years ahead of Bill Russell. But I'm gonna rattle you off my.
Give me your list real
quick. I'm gonna give my list real quick. Number 1, I'm gonna go MJ. Number 2, I'm gonna go LeBron, and 3, I'm gonna go Kareem.
Right.
So I think you had Kareem at 3 or 2.
4,
4 and 5, I'm gonna go 4 Kobe or 4 Shaq, excuse me, most dominant force ever. 5 Kobe. All right. 6, I'm gonna go Larry Bird. 7, Magic Johnson. 8, Tim Duncan. 9, Hakeem Olajuwon, and 10, Kevin Durant. So I'm writing off my 10 right there. I put Kevin Durant. Yeah, I don't put in Bill Russell. I don't put in Wilt Chamberlain because I'm not guessing. I get you brought up the rings part, sure, but especially for Bill Russell, but especially for Wilt, it's a lot of guessing with Wilt. He averaged 50 and 25, but like you said, he did only win 2. He did only win 2 rings, so it's like were the era that he played in. I just don't believe that basketball was good. I just don't believe they were skill set, and superior to the guys now. And I don't want to guess and be like, oh, these guys were right there because what they accomplished in their era. I'm not basing mine off that. I'm basing straight skill set. I do got Kevin at 10.
That's something, right? That's a conversation for another day. And also, we've talked quite a bit about Wilt. But give me a quick little reasoning. Not that we're gonna dive into anything, but give me a little reasoning behind Larry Bird in front of Magic.
Oh, okay. Glad you asked that. Larry Bird in front of Magic. When I say those 4 through about 7 or 4 through about 8, the Magic, the Bird, the Duncan, the Kobe's, I think those are all very interchangeable. Okay. I think those are like they're not like, oh my gosh, so far ahead of. I think the MJ, LeBron, and Kareem, I think, are the 3 that is like, hey, these guys are the 3 best. But so the Bird, I have Bird over Magic. I have Bird over Magic because I think Bird was more his skill set I think was better than Magic's. Yeah, Magic's got 5 rings, but he had Kareem. I know Larry Bird had great teams. I get that, but he never had like a Kareem next to him. So I think just skill set, Larry was offensively, he was almost kind of like a Kevin Durant in a way. He was so scary. He was so scary, and that man, he could pass the ball.
He could defend the hell out of anybody too.
He was 6'9" or 6'10". He's got 3 championships. So I just think off the skill set and the offensive, the power was a little more than Magic. He did it kind of without a Kareem.